Welcome to the Elements of Spirit readings for the week of July 17th, 2017. This is the reading for the element of Earth, which includes the sun signs of Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo. If you haven't watched the ether reading, go back and check it out. Affirmation was very cool. I observe my physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual state. I prioritize the immaterial to make magic. So we're both witnessing these states and then prioritizing the non-physical, immaterial aspects of our being in order to make miracles occur. How does that work for you, Earth element? Well, again, I just give you what I got. I choose to embody my most spastic self now. I have 100 arms. I have 100 arms and legs. I am everywhere at once. There is no limit to the awesomeness of my being. Geez, I hope that's your affirmation, because that's pretty awesome. There's no limit to the awesomeness of my being. Ooh, shadows are coming in. Okay, so in order to pay attention to the immaterial, in order to prioritize the immaterial means, I prioritize the immaterial to make magic. What this is saying for you guys is that there is a material hurdle to overcome. Material hurdle. This is very normal for earth signs to hurdle to overcome. Personally, the earth magicians that I know are like the most magical of earth magicians. I mean, magical of magicians because they make matter manifest. Like, you guys are good with earth. Problem is that you're so earthy that you don't believe you have magical powers. It's like, I can create anything, but I did it very practically and logically. As opposed to what we're talking about here, which is simply, how can I overcome the hurdle of thinking there is a limit to the awesomeness of my being? What do you think you're physically capable of, and how can you overcome that arbitrary physical limitation? The opposite of earth is air, and I ask the question and I start to get an answer, right? I see the limits of my potential, and now I see beyond those limits. Yes, and then there is no limit to the awesomeness of my being. So that's your affirmation this week. I see the limits of my potential, and now I see beyond those limits. There is no limit to the awesomeness of my being. Of all of the affirmations that we've come up with this week, you guys, this is the one that probably wants to be used like the most on the daily. I'm sorry, not on the daily. I mean, in meditation. Because this is the kind of thing that you want to visualize, where I would even imagine yourself sort of sitting wherever you are, and then just think about where you're going, where you're headed, what you're doing, what your goals are, and think about how far you've imagined. Like, play it out. Where do you see yourself going in work, in love, in life? Life being existential, spiritual, personal goals that you have, subjective things that you want to accomplish. In love, where are you at? Are you with someone? Do you want to be with someone? Do you want to be married? Do you want to have babies? Do you want to be single? Do you want to be polyamorous? Like, what do you want? Where are you headed? And then in terms of work, what plans are in place? What are you working on? Where are you going? And all the while, I'm kind of imagining this perimeter. And as I'm thinking about it, I'm feeling myself coming up to the edges of those perimeters. And then I'm imagining a little bit farther. Where do I want to be in relationship in 20 years? This is how far I think I can go in my business. in terms of like when I was planning, like, okay, I want to do readings and I want to, sell product someday. What's beyond that? Do I have a wellness center? Was I even allowing myself to think of that wellness center? Do I live in a studio apartment? Do I want to live in a 2-bedroom? Am I even giving myself permission to think beyond the limits of my beings? Never mind create and exist and become and occur. And the idea is that if y'all, earth creatures, can pull your heads out of the sand for long enough, all of my best friends are Capricorns, can pull your heads out of the sand for long enough, you can see like beyond this cliff, which was really just the sand over your head, and you see beyond and you're like, oh, I could go there. And then as soon as you can see there, you do go there. P.S. I also remember the last couple of weeks for you guys, Earth Element, there's been a real coming into your own. Keep going. And especially if you don't feel like you've come into your own in the last couple of weeks, definitely keep going, because this hurdle is a cognitive hurdle. Affirmation. Oh yeah, I choose to embody my most spastic self now. I don't need to be controlled. I have 100 arms and legs. I am everywhere at once. I can do so much. There's no limit to my awesomeness, but the actual affirmation. I see the limits of my potential, and now I see beyond those limits. There is no limit to the awesomeness of my being. That's your affirmation. It's a pretty good one. I don't think I have any more to say. This is the shortest of all the readings this week, but like, do this as needed. And I would even say do it like as a meditation. Do this for 5-10 minutes so that you can see the limits and imagine the limits and think about what you're doing in your life and work and love. And then imagine seeing beyond, and then use this affirmation. I see the limits of my potential, and now I see beyond those limits. There is no limit to the awesomeness of my being. I love you. I'll see you next week. It's gotten hot out here. The sun's out. Take care. Bye.